Presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
I feel like I can do it all. You know, I did so much when I was at Buffalo, whether if it was, you know, catching deep balls or, you know, lead blocking through the C gap. I mean, I feel like I'm very versatile and can, you know, play any type of game that needs to be played, whichever week.
There's Allen taken to the right, going to the end zone. And who else? Dave Davis with the touchdown catch on the opening drive.
You know, I think it's going to go very well. And, you know, I plan to have a long career. You know, I think I got a good 5 or 6 more years in me. So I don't plan on stopping anytime soon.
I done did it before, going to teams that didn't really have it all the way together. Then, like, early years, a new head coach and stuff. You got to deal with just that early year. But, like, I know this team, you know, is moving forward, moving up.
1010XL 92.5 FM presents Jaguars Today with your hosts Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark.
All right, good morning, everybody. Halfway through, making our way through another week of Jaguar football, inching our way towards the NFL draft. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark here with you this morning. Johnny O will stop by in hour number 2. Tony, good morning. How are you?
Doing well.
Tony, who's the most impressive athlete you've met doing your job? Or the one, it doesn't have to be the most impressive, like, record setter, just somebody that you thought, that's really cool, I got to meet that person.
But, you know, like Barry Sanders,
yeah.
You know, like that.
I knew who you meant.
Yeah.
It's like Barry.
I didn't get to meet Barry Bonds.
Let me explain. I'm not talking about the fictional TV hitman.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Something. It was something at the Super Bowl somewhere.
I'm sure. Yeah.
That group of guys that we've had the opportunity to talk to. You know, we get to do a post-game show every Sunday with Fred Taylor. I mean, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, Fred's awesome, right?
Yeah.
And we do. I just was curious because I don't want to take it for granted ever. You know,
Right.
I just heard Pockets in there as David Garrard's spot was coming on, and Pockets knew exactly what he was going to say and was kind of like doing the little the copy.
I'm David Garrard here.
Yeah, exactly. You know, Pockets is doing his David Garrard.
Yeah.
And I got to think Pockets is a young guy. So I said, Dylan, who's the most impressive athlete you've gotten to meet, like kind of through this job or whatever? He goes, Kelvin Brown. I'm like, who is this? And so he's on your track team, Pockets?
Yeah, I thought you meant who I've coached because I was doing something. Yeah, I missed that one word.
You did miss something because then I said, no. Like the most impressive person.
Impressive athlete you've met.
He goes, what, at any track meet? I'm like, where did track meet come into this?
Yeah, I can remember having grown up a Giants fan when Lawrence Taylor showed up on Radio Row. I made it a point to at least go over and shake his hand.
Yeah?
You know?
Yeah,
like
he's been around 2 or 3 times probably. I've seen him there. I don't know if I've ever sat down with LT.
I haven't. No, I just went over and shook his hand and said, nice to meet you.
No, I got you.
Greatest of all time. Kind of cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, and maybe Kelvin Brown will go down as one of the greatest track athletes of all time, Pockets. He got a nice shout-out from you this morning. So he runs the 100 to 200 and the 4x100, you're telling me,
Yeah,
right?
he's got a top 15 time in the state in the 100 right now in 2A. Runs a 10.9. Pretty good.
Doesn't want to do the long jump?
I guess not. I've been trying to, but he don't want to do it.
Pretty much all sprinters should be decent at the long jump. Right?
Yeah, because it's all about speed.
Yeah, it's just a big speed thing and the whole thing. All right, anyway, good for him. You know, how about that? Pockets then did he go, once he realized what the question was, you went with the Trinity over at UF, right?
Yeah.
You went with
I've never met – I mean, I've met Leon, obviously, Garrard. Jimmy Smith.
No.
But I mean, the guys that I've watched, like, and the guys that I idolized growing up. Like,
I got you. All right.
Not so much in the NFL, like that I've been around. Like I haven't been around Freddie T yet.
He's like, Garrard's cool. Garrard's pretty cool. Pockets went with Spurrier, Tebow, and Billy Donovan, and that's fine.
Yeah,
that's totally fine, right? Like I get it. You're a young guy, went to the University of Florida. Those are big time people to you. And Calvin Brown, rounds out the Mount Rushmore of Pockets experience.
Top 4.
Just curious, really, with the whole thing. I guess for me, like I wasn't like a Joe Namath fan. Just that whole Joe Namath thing was kind of surreal because you don't see him very often. You know, and that was kind of cool. But
he's never there.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't tell you who the number one guy. I met so many great ones over the years. kind of neat.
It's
you know who I haven't met? Kelvin Brown. Apparently need to. You know,
make it happen.
Up and comer in the track world. Well, so does he know that I support the team with the free merchandise?
I don't think he does.
So I do rep the Baldwin Track Squad every once in a while.
You wore that merch yet?
Absolutely. I wore it in like the very next workday that we had, man.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And it didn't go through the laundry site. Do you wash a shirt before you wear it?
No.
My wife asks me all the time, "Do you want me to wash it?" I'm like, "Why would I wash it? I just bought it.
I want to wear it. That's
From
why I bought it.
Yeah. It's right out the box, honey."
Yeah. That
more
may
of
be
a
something
woman
you're
thing.
supposed to do, but it's
I
not
know.
something
Look, I don't know
yeah.
what's crawling all over it
Yeah.
in wherever I purchased that from, but no, I don't need you to wash it. I'm fine with that. That's me. You know, like, I don't know. Maybe we need to run a poll today, Tony. Do you wash your clothes before you wear them after you buy them new? I certainly don't. Today we are running a poll, and it's just a simple either-or binary choice for you on the Ayuk front. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, and honestly, I thought this might go a little bit different, and it's early still, but a lot of the immediate reaction I got when I said I would not give the 17th pick in the draft for Brandon Ayuk straight up, knowing I'm going to have to pay him. The rumor was he wants at least $27.5 million. But basically, put it this way: let's call it $5 million more than Calvin Ridley got per year on average. I'm not saying he's not a better player than that, but with Calvin Ridley, you didn't, at least from the Jags' perspective, they wanted to make sure if we're going to sign him to that, we're already locked into giving up that third-round pick. We're not going to give up the extra pick. It's the pick plus the compensation. It's not cheap.
Yeah.
You would have done it. You would do it right now. And I think that I think both sides of this are defensible.
I do too.
I'm clearly on one side of it. You're clearly on the other. But I do understand the perspective of, hey, man, we don't know what we're going to get with 17. But I don't, like Trent Baalke says, basically, I'm not going to live in fear, not going to live in the past, worry about mistakes of the past. They don't bother me. I don't know about that. I don't know if that's the right. You've got to at least recognize if the mistakes in the past are part. Well, if it's part of a pattern, like, are you making similar mistakes over and over that are leading to bad results repeatedly? Then you should worry about it. You need to worry about it. But like, to me, I don't go and look and go, oh man, I didn't pick a good guy at this spot last time, or I didn't get this, or I've done a good job selecting receiver in the draft.
It's not on the golf course pulling the 3-iron.
No,
like I never hit this right. Like, get that out of your head.
It's like,
man.
hey, the next one I pick is going to be, I'm going to hit that thing pure.
Yeah.
I'm going to hit the 5 feet, right?
Trust the process.
Or that equivalence, and if you're a GM in the National Football League, I don't think any of them are gun shy when it comes to selecting. They're probably overconfident in the other direction.
I would hope so.
You would hope, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying it's human nature. I'm sure some people start to question.
You'd have
themselves.
to be a basket case. Like, if every mistake you made as an NFL GM bothered you to that point, like, eventually you'd just be like, put me in the asylum. I'm done.
So, like, when you say, well, Baalke's just going to screw up that pick. So I get it from your standpoint. You're looking at it like, hey, that's how I feel. He may not make a good selection anyway. This way we at least know we're getting a good player. But I'd like to hold out the hope that you could get that good player anyway.
Sure.
And get him locked up for a reasonable amount of money. I mean, reasonable, in NFL terms, right? That you're going to be at 17th pick. You're going to be paying that guy considerably less for 4 years than Ayuk will expect to get for a single year. And what does that do with your ability to hold on to some of your other ascending assets? Tyson Campbell, Josh Allen, in terms of a long-term deal. And I know he's going to lower his cap hit if he signs a long-term deal. He will initially. But that money is still going to come due. And
32 is going to be 32 when it happens.
Eventually it is. And Trevor Lawrence is going to be getting a huge chunk of your salary cap. And I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying these are factors that you have to consider. So we're asking you today, knowing that Ayuk would likely want a contract that makes him one of the highest paid receivers in the NFL. If you want a number, put it at $28 million a year. Okay, Ridley got 23. I've seen 27.5 is where it's going to start for Ayuk in his mind. Maybe you don't think he's worth that. That seems to be what he's seeking. I think that's a fair number based on his age and his production that he's gotten. That I would expect him to get that on the open market. So this wouldn't be the open market, but if you were trading for a guy in this circumstance. Like, the trade for Ridley was different because, A, it was conditional. You didn't know. What if Ridley never made, if he was a screw-up and he never got it together, you would have ended up, that third would have been a fourth, right? It was based on playing time. So that investment was not nearly as great, and you were willing, from the Trent Baalke perspective, he was willing at least to roll the dice on getting Ridley in here for a year at that cost, seeing what would happen. You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't give up the 17th pick in the draft and roll the dice that this guy's going to sign with you next year, and you're not going to sit there, Tone, clearly and go, well, we got the franchise tag. Well, you might need that for Tyson Cash, any number of guys, right? Yeah. Who knows if you're going to get extensions done with these guys. So, 17th pick plus a top-of-the-market contract, or just hang on to what you got right now, knowing what you have at the moment. And look, I didn't even include Zay Jones in this proposed trade. I'm just talking about the pick because Zay is likely not part of the roster if this trade goes down, right? So whether you include him going to San Francisco, if they treat that as something of value that they're getting, good, right? So I'm going to presume that he won't be a part of the team if this situation were to occur. So, yes, Ayuk's worth that. No, that's too much. Those are your choices today on that front. Want to get to, a lot of times we run short at the end yesterday. Want to get to some of the top 5 lists that we had submitted to us. Yeah. We're asking people, as of right now that the dust has mostly settled in free agency, who are the top 5 players that you are honing in on for the Jags at 17? So you got an idea of what you're giving up potentially if you make that deal for Ayuk. So we'll look at some of those. Got a few more thoughts from Eric Armstead that we didn't get around to. John Ogier will swing by. He's out of town, but he's going to call in today at about 11:20 to give us his thoughts on the first complete week of Jaguar free agency. Keep in mind, when we talked to John last, I guess it was after the Armstead deal, right? It was because it was Thursday, and that went down on Wednesday afternoon. So, he's had a chance to kind of sit back and see where all these things fit in and what are the Jags likely to do at this point. Is it just settle in? And you can't almost find a pro day workout, by the way, where they're not featured at it, right? Like you see all these, obviously the big ones are going to be there, but it'll be like the McNeese State Pro Day. There'll be like 3 NFL teams in attendance. And I feel like the Jags are at all of these right now, so doing their due diligence, see them out there. And they continue. We've seen some reports in the last 24 hours of having some private meetings with defensive tackle. Still, I don't think that's likely on the board with the 17th pick, but draft's a long process, man.
It's a 7-round deal.
It absolutely is. And who knows how they feel about Devon Hamilton. I would presume they're going to count on him bouncing back to be the guy that they thought he was going to be before they signed him to that deal. We shall see. All right, so we're ready to roll today. If you want to be a part of the program, number of ways you can do it. 641-1010 on the All-Pro Roofing phone line. Same number for the text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Hit us up on social media. The poll is at MD_1010XL. You can go to at 1010XL Fat Tony and at 1010XL Denmark.
Ain't no laws when you're drinking claws, baby.
And give us your feedback that way as well. All right, we're ready to roll. YouTube chat is wide open. This is Jaguars Today. Johnny O along the way. We'll hear from Eric Armstead, what we didn't get to yesterday, looking back at some of your reflections on where you're focusing with the 17th pick in the draft as well. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Awaken 180 Weight Loss. You want to eat a lot. I love to eat, right? You want to eat to lose weight? Have you ever heard of such a thing? Well, Awaken 180, that's the program. They teach you how to eat. You're going to eat so much. You're going to eat 5 or 6 times a day, and it's going to kickstart your metabolism, and the weight is going to absolutely fall right off of you. It's absolutely a beautiful process, man. I tell you what, that first week particularly, you're going to drop a bunch of weight. Then you're going to average about 4 to 5 pounds a week after that. That's been the formula for myself, for Matt Hayes, for Hacker. We've all had tremendous success. We're all at various stages. I'm at the point now where it's not about losing weight. It's about maintaining the weight that I've already lost. That's part of the hardest thing to do when it comes to a weight loss journey. 844-346-1800, the number you need to know. 844-346-1800. Schedule your consultation with Awaken 180 Weight Loss today. Get free coaching for life, by the way, once you hit your goal weight. That's how you're able to maintain it. Go online to awaken180weightloss.com.
It's another Weight Loss Wednesday. Awaken 180 Weight Loss in the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute studios, where the pros go. The action, the motion.
You see that acceleration.
Feel the active emotion of live play-by-play.
It's amazing how much energy.
On 1010XL.
At Honda, we appreciate all the comparisons to other vehicles. And no matter how many times they compare their vehicles to a Honda, only a Honda is a Honda. Remember, value, quality, safety, there is no substitute. Visit your local Honda dealer now and experience the difference.
Ball forward, take your base. The only thing worse than a pitcher running out of gas on the mound is your old phone running out of storage for your photos in the stands.
Goodbye, home run.
Switch to Verizon and get a great deal on a new iPhone 15 Pro with tons of storage for all the ballpark pics you want. Just trade in your iPhone, any model, in any condition, so you'll feel like you're winning, even when your team's not. Trade in any iPhone in any condition for a great deal on iPhone 15 Pro with unlimited Ultimate and get iPad and Apple Watch SE with eligible service plan. Only on Verizon.
Hard Rock Bet presents Legal in Florida.
You can bet the game on Hard Rock Bet. No more betting inside your head. Now Hard Rock Bet is legal in Florida. Now Hard Rock Bet is legal in Florida. Legal in Florida.
It's safe, it's legal. We'll repeat that it is legal.
Top rated sportsbook and it's the only one that's legal.
Get a no-regret first bet up to $100 when you sign up now. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 and over and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Doc Rooter is a full-service plumbing company that's locally owned and operated, fully licensed and insured. We'll be at your home in a timely manner, provide honest pricing, and ensure the job is completed correctly, or we'll make it right. Doc Rooter can handle all plumbing jobs, including repairing broken pipes, clearing clogged drains, to installing new fixtures, water heaters, garbage disposals, and full repipes for older homes. If you're stuck, call the Duck, 904-862-6769. That's 904-862-6769.
Fish are good at hiding. Captain Kevin can help you find them.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Find more fish on the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show.
Thursday nights at 6.
Brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss on 1010XL AM.
Madness is almost here. Well, String Sports Brewery in historic Springfield is the place to go for all the tournament action. The atmosphere is unrivaled. Our show will be there live from 3 to 6 on Friday, March 22nd. So come watch hoops and shoot hoops with us. That's Friday, March 22nd from 3 to 6. Soak in all the madness at String Sports Brewery. Family, beer, sports, and madness at Strings. Come out and see us in Springfield at String Sports Brewery.
Hey, sports fans, it's Ace Carline for Kingfish Pest Control. Are mosquitoes turning your outdoor fun into a full contact sport? Time to call in Kingfish Pest Control. I can tell you from my own experience, they are the MVPs of mosquito elimination. See for yourself. Call Kingfish Pest Control today and get an unbeatable 50% off your first treatment. That's right, sign up for a full season of lockdown coverage and get 50% off your first treatment. Don't let mosquitoes steal your home field advantage. Reclaim your yard with Kingfish Pest Control.
This is Joe C. from XL Primetime and stoked to crank up the 9 after 5 once again at the Golf Club of Southampton. Every Wednesday, a little after 5, the gang at Southampton will be hosting us with a new game, and I'm inviting you to be a part of it. Now, through the summer stretch, break up the week with a little hump day fun every Wednesday. Call 287-PLAY to get on the tee sheet. There'll be food afterwards and prizes, including playing for a membership at the Golf Club of Southampton. Call 287-PLAY and hit the tee with Joe C.
This is Hayes Carline for First Florida Credit Union. I bank with First Florida Credit Union because I trust them. I can always count on them when it comes to the vast services they provide. First Florida Credit Union was voted Best Bank in the 2023 Best of Bold City Community Choice Awards, and it's easy to see why. I go to the branch off 210 in St. Johns County and the new Durbin location, but they have 10 branches in the Jacksonville area. You need to be banking with First Florida Credit Union. They're enriching people every day. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity Lender.
Hey, I'm Tony from Tony D's Pizza. People ask me all day long, is it the water that makes the difference? Well, yes and no. Even water can't make a good pizza. It's the ingredients, too. The best tomatoes, the best flour, and the best cheese. Oh, and a lot of love. Tony D's New York Pizza, Bay Meadows and 295.
The 2024 NFL season is approaching fast, and the Jaguars are celebrating their 30th season. Be at the bank for all the big plays and big moments of this milestone year by locking in your season tickets now. With packages for every budget and exclusive perks throughout the season, there's no better time to become a season ticket member. Be at the bank for every touchdown and secure your seats by going to Jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000 today. We'll see you at the bank.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now more Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, I want to jump into something we were wrapping up yesterday, just looking at your wish list currently, and these things will obviously change. Tony, I know you noted with Jeff Prosser this morning, Marvin Harrison Jr. not working out at Ohio State's pro day. That doesn't mean he won't have his own pro day necessarily. Sure. And I get, on the one hand, what does he have to gain? Well, he does have potentially that spot to lose if it matters that much to him, right? I don't know how much there's a little bit of money difference between being, say, the 4th, 5th, 6th pick, something like that. And most people figure if Arizona stays put with the 4th pick and it goes quarterback, that they would take Marvin Harrison Jr. there. Of course, there's a lot of speculation and teams trying to trade into that spot as well. The Chargers right behind, moving on from Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, who just went to Pittsburgh on a one-year deal. These one-year deals, guys coming off major injury, can be worth up to $15 million. He's coming off a torn ACL. I mean, I don't know. I feel like this is kind of maybe not as bad because he's younger. Not that much younger than Odell Beckham's deal last year with the Ravens. I thought was terrible. Who was bidding on these guys to give him $15 million? It's kind of nuts.
Apparently Aaron Rodgers.
I guess, right? But, I mean, what are you getting? How do you know what you're getting with Mike Williams?
Yeah, like watching the national community react to Mike Williams signing there with the Jets and all the reactions of what this is going to mean and how much of a chance this gives X and Y and Z there with the Jets. And I'm with you. Like, I'm on the side of, but he's coming off a torn ACL, right? Like, it's not that simple.
And it's not like you're getting him for a 4-year deal. Like, okay, that first year may not be the full Mike Williams.
There's a reason the LA Chargers are making him available in the first place. And it's not because I think they're sick of Mike, right? Like, I think it's, look, this is an injured player. It's going to cost us a lot of money. We're going to have to figure something else out.
All right, and this coaching staff is not,
committed to him.
Committed to him at all.
And that's fine.
Coaching staff.
But I don't think the decision was made because they decided that Mike actually kind of stinks, right? Like, it is, the situation led to Mike Williams being available in the first place. I don't think the Chargers wanted Mike Williams to be available, but it makes sense that they would make him available. A 1-year deal makes some sense, right? I don't know why you'd offer him a multi-year deal at this point in time.
Right.
Like that wouldn't make any sense in the world right now.
And maybe the base is lower than I think. He just said he could make up to $15 million.
Who knows what exactly that is.
Right. What he has to do that. It just seems like that's a risky investment, man. But I guess that's the kind of the point that the Jets are at. They've got to focus on this year. Yeah. It's not kind of a year-by-year situation with Aaron Rodgers, even though he says, hey, maybe I'll play 3 or 4 more years. Anyway, just, that's out there. Not many people mentioned Marvin Harrison Jr. Yesterday because as much as you'd like to have him, we asked you to try to be realistic about the players that you think would likely be available. So we got a lot of the usual suspects. I'll start just some of the ones I got in order here. Tali Fwanga, the offensive lineman. Quinyon Mitchell, going to see him. He's in just about every single one.
Yeah.
Troy Fautanu.
Yeah.
I just have to be slow when I say it. He was on my list as well, even though I can't have it roll off my tongue as easily as I'd like. Brian Thomas was on my list. Byron Murphy was not. So that 4 out of 5 I agreed with there, with Terry and Arnold being the other guy out of Alabama. I'll go to the next list. Here you go. Very next list. Got 3 different guys out of the 5, but I feel like they're saying the same thing, basically. You got Terry and Arnold on here. You got Mitchell, Adonai Mitchell. Now, maybe they just don't think that Thomas is likely to be there, or maybe they prefer Mitchell.
Yeah.
Also have Roma Dunze, which is interesting, and which makes me think they prefer Mitchell to Thomas, because I think Dunze is less likely to be available to the Jags, at least if you believe all the mock drafts.
Yeah.
Let's see, who else? How do you feel about Jackson Powers Johnson at this point in time?
I was, a lot of people responded with that. I saw a couple of people, put out there, well, trade back a few spots, make Jackson the guy at that. And I'm like, okay, I don't hate that idea or that plan, right? If you were to move out of 17 with the idea being we're going to trade down to 21, 22 and target this guy, right? This is our guy. I'm okay with that plan. What's your plan B? Because what you don't know if you're making that kind of move is what's going to happen at 18, 19, 20, 21. Wherever you're going down to, you don't know that Jackson's going to be the guy that's going to be available to you when you trade back, right? Unless you traded back one spot and got some assurance from the team you're trading with. They're not coming up to get Jackson Powers Johnson. I'm okay still with the idea of Jackson Powers Johnson. I wouldn't do it at 17. If I moved back in the first round with the plan being we're going to move back in the first round, this is the guy we got circled as the one we'd like to land where we're going, I'd be okay with that kind of idea.
It worked last year because they had a specific guy that they wanted to draft.
Sure.
Right? And in Anton Harrison. And, we heard the way it went down. The Giants were coming up, and I guess they sussed out it was for Deonte Banks or a defensive player. They asked the Bills. The Bills said offense. And we need more information. Big guy, little guy, medium-sized guy?
Yeah.
Medium-sized guy. All right, so he's not a tackle. And you can say, well, they could lie to you. Well, they could, and then...
They could, but they didn't.
And generally they won't because then they're burning a bridge that they'll never be able to go back down again, And, people talk about, oh, Balky has no friends in the business. Balky, you don't have to be friends with people to get deals done. And I know he was unable to trade up last year. I don't think that was people going, oh, I'm not going to get Balky the satisfaction. I mean, he moved back a few times. People will trade if it's in their benefit.
Yeah.
I don't think a GM's going, I'm going to stick it to Balky. Yeah, I could pick up 2 picks for this one. We don't really have a guy we love here, but I'm not going to do that because Trent Baalke's running the Jaguars?
Yeah, I know. That doesn't make any sense.
None.
I know Pockets had Brock Bowers among the 5 that he listed yesterday, right? But talking about this specifically with Jackson Powers Johnson, say the Jags traded back to 24.
Okay.
And for whatever myriad of reasons, they're on the clock at 24, and Jackson Powers Johnson and Brock Bowers are both available. Right?
Yeah.
Which way would you go?
Me?
Yeah.
Corner. I'm not trading back targeting those players.
I get it, but if that were the situation, I'm not
I'd
saying
probably go with the lineman.
Okay.
Rather than the tight end. But again, you're drafting a guy who, when they bring back Brandon Sheriff here, I'm pretty sure they're not. I mean, look, I'm not saying if Brandon Sheriff is miserable all off season that he couldn't get pushed for his job, but I don't think I think they're looking at it like we know who maybe our starting 5 is on the offensive line right now. And I have said I'm willing to bring in one of those combo tackle guard types because just let the competition begin, and that's fine. I don't think there's much of a chance that they look at signing Mitch Morse and go, all right, now we're going to hold a center competition. I just don't think – I think the thing with Sheriff is can we squeeze one more year out of him to find out if Cooper Hodges can be the answer long term, and he's kind of a placeholder. So I don't to me, though, taking one of the combo guys, the guy, when I say the combo guys, the guys who are tackles that could slide inside and play guard for a year or maybe even end up there, is that they may end up at tackle. And that is such a valuable position.
Yes.
That if you can fill it, and I get it, center can be a valuable and a tough position to fill as well. And I've seen plenty of comments of, they're going way overboard on Mitch Morse. Mitch Morse is just an average guy. You don't have anything close to an average guy before you sign Mitch Morse.
No.
You had arguably the worst in the league.
Yeah.
So you're not going to – if the idea is you shouldn't improve unless you're improving to bring in the best in the league at their position, then you're going to be really dissatisfied most off seasons because that's just not realistic. Sometimes you have to improve by going from having the 32nd best player to the 20th best player at his position.
That's what I've been advocating the whole time.
And that's
center,
improvement.
Right? Is just get it out of the way. It can't be the hindrance to you being able to run the offense effectively. Center can't get in the way of being able to run productive offense. I think Mitch Morse certainly gets you to at least that level where he's not going to get in the way of whatever they want to get done on the offensive side of the ball. I know there are still fans out there that would want to see it happen. right, with Jackson Powers-Johnson, and I get it. They want to see the offensive line improve on the interior. They're still focused in on that. Okay. It doesn't sound like you and I are, right? Like, it's just not a focus for me at this point in time. I'm with you. If I'm going to draft an offensive lineman in the first round of this draft, I'm drafting from the deepest tackle draft they've been talking about in a decade, right? Like, that's where I would be looking to address the offensive line if that's where I'm going to be doing it, is the first round.
And by the way, I mean, this franchise, and I'm not saying you can just snap your fingers and make this happen, but they've had some success with second, third-round centers that have played a long time around these parts. And I don't know if at any point anyone said Brandon Linder's the best center in the league or Brad Meester was the best center in the league, but they certainly weren't a liability.
Yeah. Linder was talked about as top 5.
Maybe, right, but I don't think people are saying Jackson Powers-Johnson can be the guy. He can be Creed Humphrey. I don't think anyone ever felt that way about Brandon Linder. Nationally, maybe, he was better even than his reputation indicated because he did play in a small market. I'm not saying but the point being, where'd you get him? In the third round.
Well, and the broader point on that is Brandon Linder, whether he was a top 5 center or a top 10 center, top 15 center, whatever he was pretty good, among his peers at that position. What did the Jaguars win while Brandon Linder was the center?
Well,
and that's the point of the center isn't what's going to make you win or lose. They can't get in the way. Linder was never in the way of the Jaguars being effective on offense. He was a good player, right? And I think that's what you're looking for, generally speaking, at the center position. Every now and then, guys get in the league like Kelsey. Maybe you can make an argument for a guy like Creed Humphrey being that type of guy. Like, that guy is a difference maker. If you can find one of those guys, good for you for doing it, right? And finding some way to get a hold of one of those guys. But generally speaking, at center, specifically, all you need is he's good enough, right? And so for a team that the Jaguars seem to have right now, I think with Morse, they are good enough at center right now to go into 2024 and feel pretty good about that spot.
I got some numbers on Eric Armstead's contract from Spot Track that have come out in the last 10 minutes, Tone.
All right.
So let's do this. Let's take a break here. And, look, I'm not faulting anybody. If you want Jackson Powers-Johnson, I don't think it's
all good.
A terrible thing to want. We all have different visions of how we would build the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm just, the ones that get me, and I'm not saying anyone in particular that I've seen in the last couple of days, but the ones that get me is, if they don't do this, they're stupid. Like that's the only path. That there's no one way to be successful. There are a bunch of different ways to be successful. Will the Jags take one of those paths? Even if they take the exact path you laid out, you don't know. You can't predict for injuries, underperformance, all kinds of things. So, look, I have a path that I'd like them to go down. If they don't go down it, as long as I look at that, what they do and think, okay, there's a plan there. I could see it. I could see how that could all come together.
There are enough viable paths.
With it.
Yeah, there are enough viable paths that at this point in the process, be like, if they don't take this path, they're idiots. Okay. I just disagree with you. That's the way I would view the situation.
By the way, the cap is a magical thing. But looking at Eric Armstead, $4.5 million for this year. That's not bad.
No.
On what was reported to be a 3-year, $51 million deal, Tony. How could that be possible? We'll delve into the numbers when we return in a moment, and we'll hear a little bit more from Eric Armstead that we didn't get to yesterday as he met with the media via Zoom earlier this week. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark here with you. If you want to get on board, 641-1010 on the All-Pro Roofing phone lines. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today from the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute studios.
It's a Weight Loss Wednesday on 1010XL. Awaken 180 Weight Loss, your long-term solution for weight loss. Giving the workday something to talk about.
Every time we talk, I'm reinvigorated by my love of the game.
Joe Coward, Matt Hayes, Leah O'Brien, and Leon Searcy. There, XL Prime Time.
Who do you want to talk about first?
Weekdays noon to 3 on 1010XL.
This week, make your plans to visit Ronnie's Repair Shop on Thursday and Friday for their annual spring sales event. That means the lowest sales prices of the year on Ronnie's huge inventory of commercial-grade Toro equipment, including zero-turn mowers, stand-ons, and walk-behinds. Financing is available if you qualify. Whether you manage your lawn or a lawn care business, plan to be at Ronnie's Repair Shop on Sunbeam Road this Thursday and Friday for the lowest sales prices of the year.
Feeling the chill or breaking a sweat in your own home? Call JTM Comfort Services. Father-son owned and veteran operated with 40 years experience to serve the Guggen Nation. JTM Comfort Services gets it right the first time, providing top-notch service, maintenance, and replacements for your heating and cooling needs. Get up to $1,300 back on the new system. Right now, get a free service call with any repair or replacement. Licensed and insured, visit jtmcooling.com.
Your comfort is our name. Call my dad to keep you in the game.
Ever wonder how you can transform your living spaces into captivating works of art? At First Coast Lighting and Fans, they offer a huge selection of high-quality products to match your desire for elegance, quality, and uniqueness. Visit their showroom on Phillips Highway at the Avenues and step into a world of quality without compromise. Discover the difference that locally owned expertise makes and let them help you experience the transformation from average to extraordinary. At First Coast Lighting and Fans.
A lot of companies will tell you they're the best. At Custom Tree Surgeons, they show you every time. Custom Tree Surgeons has built an all-pro team. Every tree service professional has years of experience, continually trained and certified. They know what, when, and how to handle any job. It gets done efficiently and quickly by a team of experts. So for tree trimming, removal, stump grinding, and emergency services, forget any name other than Custom Tree Surgeons. There is no job they can't do better. Go to website customtreesurgeons.com. That's customtreesurgeons.com and let them show you how the job is supposed to get done.
Any action? Find more fish on the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show.
That's a big redfish, guys.
With Captain Kevin Faber.
Oh, my gosh.
Brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Thursday nights at 6.
On 1010XL AM.
The Jacksonville Icemen continue their homestand Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday at Five-Star Veterans Memorial Arena. Wednesday, the Icemen take on the Trois Rivières Lions. Get $3 beer and wine specials throughout the night. Then Friday and Saturday, it's a key South Division battle against the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. Game time for all 3 games is 7 o'clock. Get tickets at Ticketmaster, JacksonvilleIcemen.com, or call 904-602-PUCK. Icemen Hockey is #FireWithin.
Hi, I'm Sean Monahan from Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach. Since 1977, we've been Jacksonville's family jeweler where our true specialty is engagement rings and custom jewelry design. And now, buy your diamond engagement ring at Monahan's and get any diamond wedding band and men's wedding bands for 50% off. Come in and be treated like family for one of the most important purchases of your life. Buy your diamond engagement ring right now at Monahan's and get any diamond wedding band and gents band for 50% off. Come to Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach or book an appointment at monahanjewelry.com.
Race into Gate for big offers. By big, we mean great deals on Red Bull and a chance to win tickets to the big race coming to Miami May 3rd through 5th. Buy 2 8.4-ounce cans of Red Bull, get one free. And if you're a MyGate Rewards member, you are automatically entered for a chance to win race tickets. Not a member? Download the Gate app and sign up today. See store for details. Go from good to Gate.
When were the St. Johns River jetties built? The answer next.
There's always a good reason to compare homeowners' insurance rates. You may be paying too much. Protect your home with a Southern Oak insurance policy today.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
Congress approved plans to build the jetties in 1879, and construction was from 1880 to 1885.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
At Hidden Hills Golf Club, we truly love the game of golf. We invite you to book your next tee time here and enjoy a golfing experience that you might not find at other public facilities. Visit us at hiddenhillsgc.com. You'll be glad you did.
Open early and open late. Dailies is always there, making things easy for you to cruise in and cruise out. So hit Dailies Cold Case the next time you're craving a cold one. Bud Light by the case, plus plenty of singles to choose from. Corona, to the King of Beers, to Stella or a Natty. They're all cold at Dailies.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
My goal was to find the next stage of my career, someplace that I feel comfortable, that value me as a player as well too, and a place I could, take this next step and grow in. in a place that is competitive and that I feel, I can come in and help get them over the hump.
That's Eric Armstead, new Jaguar defensive tackle, on his goal in free agency. Our goal is that he helps the Jags get over the hump as well, and they ultimately win a Super Bowl. Tony, the numbers from Spot Track on the contract of Eric Armstead are out. We heard 3 years, $51 million, and that's all we really heard, right? Mm-hmm. Well, according to Spot Track, 3 years, $43.5 million. Hashtag bulky masterclass.
How
right?
does that
Bam!
So different?
Bam! I just saved $7.5 million.
Yeah.
Just like that. Bulky masterclass, in effect. Right there. I don't know how that happens, honest to goodness. I mean, there's probably a way that he makes, I don't know, some unlikely to be earned incentives or something like that. $28 million guaranteed, 3 void years on the back end. That really doesn't matter to you. In reality, could come down to being a 2-year, $29 million deal. His cap hit this year, $4.5 million. Next year, $7.4 million. Still very affordable if he's playing at a decent level. Then it jumps to $19.4 in 2026. But looking at the deal, Tone, if you get out of it, you're only saving about $2.3 million against the cap, right? Because there's a huge dead cap number attached to that.
Mm-hmm.
The salary jumps up. So it's conceivable that you might say, hey, for that extra $2.3 million in cap space, we're not going to be able to replace Eric Armstead. Now it's still Shad Khan's cash, but
yeah,
whatever. I'm not worried about that. And then with the dummy years added to the back end of it, which spreads the cap hit out, means that if they roster him in 2026, so the full 3 years, they're going to take a dead cap hit in 2027 regardless. It's all right. We'll be playing it like early that year. Anyway, $12 million dead cap hit. So there's going to be a big dead cap hit at some point for Eric Armstead. And some people say that's no big deal. Eventually, it's a big deal. Right? Eventually, I mean, the Saints, they always get under the cap, right? Are they contenders, though? You know what I mean? Like maybe AFC or NFC South contenders because the division's been shaky. But, I guess if you've got a decent quarterback, you can be a division contender. The Saints aren't championship contenders, and as long as they keep playing this game of having to cut 3 or 4 starters every year to get down under the cap, they probably won't be for a while. But anyway, Eric Armstead, very affordable for the first couple years of that deal, and everything you heard from the people that met him, very impressive individual. We have seen that based on his track record, as the Walter Payton Man of the Year award nominee for the Niners multiple times. Seems like a good guy. Seems very Calais Campbell-like, as many have mentioned.
Sure.
For his play on the field and the way he comports himself off the field, right? So, great. We love Calais. Hopefully we'll love Armstead. We'll particularly love him if he gives us 14 sacks.
That'd be sweet.
This year,
I'll take
8.
Yeah.
8 from the defensive tackle position. If you're not getting a major step back, even if let's say Josh is a 15 sack guy, maybe Trayvon's 12.
Yeah.
I could absolutely see them both getting in the ballpark of the same combined number.
Yeah. And if they're getting more than 2.5 from somebody on the interior of the defensive line,
Travis Gibson, the bar is low. Will you step over it, please? All right. How many more years will we get out of Eric Armstead here in Jacksonville? We don't know, but he thinks he's got like 5 to 6 more good years left.
Injuries are a part of sports. And, I have my plan together in place to make sure that I'm putting my body and myself in the best position to be out there for my team. And I'm going to do that. And, I think it's going to go very well. And, I plan to have a long career. I think I got a good 5 or 6 more years in me. So I don't plan on stopping anytime soon.
Yeah, and you'll love to hear that. This is a guy, and, he's already signed the deal, right? If he went, hey, man, let me get through these next 3 years, and then let's see, you would be like, that seems reasonable, right? You're coming off a meniscus surgery, but that tells you he probably feels pretty good about generally his health, where he is at this stage. He's been a productive player, and again, this is not a position that necessarily is going to lead to big stat numbers or big stats, but it's his impact on his immediate teammates in that front four and the front seven that is going to really tell the tale on his effectiveness.
Yeah, he's been playing this NFL game long enough to know what it's like to feel good going into an offseason and what it's like to feel, oh, I don't know about this, right? And eventually they all hit that wall. You know, it's hard to figure out when exactly that's going to be. Calais Campbell, it feels like that wall may never hit him, right? Like, that guy just the Energizer Bunny, man.
Some guys are built different,
right?
Man.
Like, and Calais was one of those guys. I don't know if Eric Armstead is one of those guys or not, but he feels pretty confident in where he's at with his body right now that he can play for 5 or 6 more years. Eric Armstead also said that he's joining Jacksonville with the idea of that he wants to help the Jags get to the next level.
The Jags were a good team before me. And, you know, whenever I enter a situation, you know, not just football, but in life in general, when I'm meeting people, when I'm, you know, entering a situation, working with people, you know, I want to make the place better than when I found it. I want to make a positive impact. And I think this team was already a phenomenal team, and I think I can help get them to the next level. So having that opportunity is something I look forward to as well.
Well, he's been a guy, he's been to the Super Bowl a couple times, right? Hasn't won the ultimate prize, right? So he's still hungry, but he's been with a successful organization, knows the amount of work you got to put in, all the right things. I just don't think there's any box that he doesn't particularly check here, as long as he plays at a high level and he gets the opportunity to play with a couple of what we feel are ascending pass rushers. Certainly Trayvon Walker took a big jump last year, and Josh Allen, now we've talked about him until we're blue in the face all off season, how good he played, how well he played last year, and what he ultimately will hopefully earn from the Jags, and how much was that attractive to Armstead, the chance to play with that duo?
Obviously, those two guys stick out immediately. You know, the type of talent they have, the production they've had in the NFL. You know, playing with those guys and, you know, Roy and Hamilton and, you know, a bunch of other guys too that I can't wait to meet. It's going to be phenomenal.
At least he knows who his teammates are.
Well,
right?
It's
Walking
interesting
in the door.
that he mentioned Hamilton, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if Hamilton's like a household name around the league and things like that, you know, and because I have noticed, Tony, and every team, it benefits them to do the due diligence at this time of year, right? You scout a guy, even if you don't have a great need necessarily at the position, maybe you value him as a third rounder, and all of a sudden he's there at the beginning of the 5th round. And if you don't have a good evaluation, sometimes the values are so good that you got to take that player, right? But I have seen them connected with some defensive tackles, which is interesting. This is one of the questions that we're not going to know the answer to, but I'd like to know how they feel. Like, are they counting on Devon Hamilton to be the guy they expected him to be when they inked him to that contract extension last year? You know, or do they think that maybe he's not going to recapture that? I don't know, because, you know, he did get back to a point last year where they said he was healthy.
Yeah.
Wasn't an issue.
Well, and the way those situations work, they're not going to say anything different until they do something different.
Right. That's why I said I'd love to know, because we probably won't find out.
Like, they're going to let you know by how they handle it, right? We talked about it with the center position going into this offseason. I don't care what they're saying about Luke Fortner 6 weeks ago. I don't care, right? They're going to do something at center or they don't. And so they added Mitch Morse. They answered how they felt about center with Luke Fortner by going out and getting a guy to take the job from the guy that they had. If they're going out and drafting guys to replace Devon Hamilton, it tells you where their confidence level is with the guy that, we looked at the contract yesterday. They can't get out from it. They're going to be paying him for the next couple of years, but are they really nervous about what kind of player are they getting? And Eric Armstead was asked a couple days ago about where he feels like he fits in with this defensive line.
I think it's important, especially being in the league this long, that no one can do it on their own. I've seen a lot of situations where guys aren't, you don't get the full potential out of guys because, they're not surrounded, with other great players as well too. So I'm excited to take the field with those guys and, learn this new defense together and start that journey.
All right, last piece here with Eric Armstead, and we'll shelve it for now. Calais Campbell was ultimately did win Walter Payton Man of the Year award. Was a great community fixture as well as a fixture on that defensive line for the Jaguars. And Armstead has been noted, and I didn't know this about him. I don't follow this kind of stuff outside of our market necessarily, but he does have a foundation, and he talked about it a couple days ago and how he wants to be able to help out here in Jacksonville.
Part of my masterclass tweet and what I want to get into is learning more about the city, learning where impoverished communities need the most help and how I can, bridge that gap. I'm excited to get to know the people there. My nonprofit is education-based, which is across the globe. I'm sure there's education inequities in Jacksonville as well, too, that I'm excited to explore more and really see how I can be of a huge impact in Jacksonville as well, too. It's across the country, but like I said, these issues that I'm trying to solve are across our nation and every community. There's equity gap, there's achievement gap, there's poverty. And I really feel that education is the key to solving a lot of issues in our country. When you look at social injustice and other issues as well, too. So I'm passionate about that, and that's going to follow me wherever I'm at. So I'm excited to learn Jacksonville and see, where and how I can help.
Hey, look, I don't know what the practical impact is going to be. You know what I mean? Because, that's, to me, that's vague. I don't know exactly what that, when you are focusing on education, what are the things you do to focus on that? But I'll say this, any help is welcome, right? So on that front, again, everybody that you see who covered Eric Armstead in San Francisco just raves about what you're getting as a character person on top of what you're getting on the field. Look, I'll be honest with you. The on-the-field stuff is the utmost important, right? Luke Fortner may be the Boy Scout of Boy Scouts, but you know what I mean? You got to be able to play. That's the number one thing. And if you do and you bring all those intangibles with you, that's fantastic. And it seems like Eric Armstead checks all the boxes there. We'll come back. Tony's going to take us around the league, find out what's still percolating out there. Mike Williams going to Pittsburgh for a reportedly up to $15 million one-year deal. Then again, we thought Eric Armstead was signing for 3 years, $51 million, Tony, and they're telling us now it's 3 years, $43.5 million. It's never quite as lucrative.
Did you say Pittsburgh? You meant the Jets?
The Jets. I did, because he was talking to Pittsburgh.
He was.
I think he was talking
it was one of those. He had that scheduled of he's going to go to all these visits. Well, he's not making those visits anymore.
I absolutely did. You know who now Pittsburgh has jumped in the whole we're going to wake up tomorrow and get Brandon Ayuk thing. So they're on that front. You're absolutely right. It is the Jets. I did say Pittsburgh, and I knew that, but my brain and my mouth don't always get along.
It happens.
Yeah. All right. We'll come back and we'll do that going around the league. Johnny O coming up at about 20 after the hour. You're listening to Jaguars Today. The question of the day simply, is it worth giving San Francisco the 17th pick in the draft for Brandon Ayuk, knowing that you'll likely have to give him a top-of-the-market wide receiver contract if that were a possibility for the Jacksonville Jaguars? Simply yes or no on that one. The percentages have held up after about the first 100 votes. It's eerie how often it does that, but they're holding pretty firm right now. We'll give you an update on where things stand as we embark on hour 2 of Jaguars Today, straight ahead on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
It's a Weight Loss Wednesday on Jaguars Today from the JOI Studios. Awaken 180 Weight Loss, your long-term solution for weight loss. Climb aboard the Jacksonville Sports Radio train.
All aboard!
1010XL.
You know, Mr. Chubby's Wings is giving away free beer again this year for the Madness Tournament.
Do they really give you a free pint of Miller Lite for each game you pick right?
Yes. All you got to do is fill out your bracket at 1010XL.com. The overall winner gets tickets to the Luke Combs concert and wings at the show. But for free beer, just download your bracket, print it out, and bring it to any Mr. Chubby's Wings location during the games. Every game you pick right, you get a free beer.
Go to 1010XL.com now. It's the free beer Mr. Chubby's Madness Bracket Challenge. See Mr. Chubby's Wings Facebook for full contest details.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Dempsey. Look, before starting Awaken 180, I first wanted to ensure I keep the weight off after dropping it. Well, Paige explained the process and I was in. Here's Paige now to share it with you.
And through this process of cooking your food, through eating out at restaurants, through ordering alcoholic beverages, which you can drink with Awaken 180 with our guidance, you're learning these tools, you're educating yourself, and it doesn't even seem like learning, but you'll learn so much about the foods that you're eating and the variety that you can enjoy, that you are arming yourself and ultimately your family with a whole host of information that will enable you to make the right choices, the best choices, the choices that taste good to you long term so that you can experience that long-term success easily.
Thanks, Paige. I chose Awaken 180 because I wanted a solution, a way not to only lose the weight, but the ability to maintain it for life. I found it with Awaken 180. So what's stopping you? Online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Your cooling system isn't working. Maybe somebody showed up with a portable electronic device. Then they discussed with you what your options are. Maybe they gave you an estimate that seems like an awful lot of money. What's the smart thing to do? When the situation merits a second opinion, get a Mike Merritt opinion. Yes, the Mike Merritt Comfort Team shows up with hand tools. We've never been able to fix an air conditioning problem with a tablet. Mike Merritt has been the trusted name for more than 30 years because there's never any hocus pocus. The Merritt team will walk you through the diagnostic steps up close and personal and show you exactly what you need. And the Mike Merritt price is likely to be far less because there's never an overtime charge, and the Merritt team doesn't work on commission. So remember, when it comes to the health of your cooling system, a second opinion can only help, and a Mike Merritt opinion can save you money. Florida license CACO 50384.
If you're getting engaged and want to spend way more than you should on a diamond, go ahead and shop the Big Chain Diamond Store. They love taking your money. But if you want the lowest price guaranteed, shop Beard's Diamonds.
Right now, get 5 years, 0% financing with nothing down.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville, and I always tell you, hey, what's hot on the street, but what is hot on the water right now?
We've got some big news from Honda. They have a boat coming out, and much like they did with their jet, they went out and partnered with an industry leader in Scout Boats. It was making the hull for them, but everything else in the boat was all Honda.
So you're talking in the next handful of days and weeks, we will see Honda on the water at your showroom.
It'll be on the showroom, and it'll be ready to go.
So log on to cyclesofjacksonville.com. They are in the marine business with Honda. Keep track of it right there on Atlantic near Regency.
Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute is the sports medicine leader in Northeast Florida. We're proud to be the official sports medicine provider for your hometown teams, including the Jaguars, Sharks, Axemen, and the Jumbo Shrimp. We have the most cutting-edge resources for sports medicine care, including active armor casting, Alter-G anti-gravity treadmills, and highly trained physicians and athletic trainers. JOI is truly where the pros go, and so should you.
Home of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach. Get Gators play-by-play on 1010XL. Brought to you by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Renewal by Anderson, the official window and door replacement partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hey folks, Mike Dempsey here. You've heard me talking about Pella Windows and Doors, and with great ratings and expert reviews, you know they're high quality and energy efficient products. So what's your next step? How about scheduling a free consultation or just stop by the Pella showroom right there on Phillips Highway next to Tesla? Pella's professional consultants will guide you through your entire project from start to finish. From simple projects to complex renovations, their team has the experience needed to make your project a success. And that's the quality and service you can expect from Pella Windows and Doors.
Imagine waking up this time next week and being 100% debt-free. No credit cards, no car loan, no personal loan. Hey, it's Prosser here, and Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit can make that happen. Homeowners are turning their home equity into cash almost instantly. With Loan Pronto's AI-based system, you can get approval in about 10 minutes with almost no documentation, no appraisal, and no hassle. You can get hundreds of thousands of dollars out of your home. Use that money to pay off all your other loans. The average homeowner saves over $850 a month doing this. Listen, your home value's way up. You can use that to wipe out all those credit cards, get some money for a home improvement. Literally hundreds of thousands are at your fingertips, and approval is just minutes away. So call now, 904-999-1508, 904-999-1508. That's loanpronto.com at 904-999-1508. NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, equal housing lender.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update, brought to you by Wingstop. The number 6 Florida Gators baseball falls to the JU Dolphins in a close game 7-6 last night. JU added 2 insurance runs in the 9th inning, courtesy of Dolphin Connor Spellman's 2-out single. Gators head coach Kevin O'Sullivan spoke on what he thought caused the loss.
I think really the game boiled down to the start that we got. We're chasing runs again right from the beginning, right from the get-go in the first, and we don't go off to a very good start there. And then 3 round runs, we scored 4 there in the bottom of the third, and turned around and gave up 2. And then we had 2 opportunities with runners at third with less than 2 outs that we didn't cash in on those runs. Comes down to fundamentals.
Wrapping up your local sports update, FSU baseball remains undefeated after shutting out Stetson 1-0 last night. FSU is the only undefeated team in the country. It's 61 degrees at 11 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Everything you need to know about the Jags. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Every single thing. Hour 2 is here. Usually Johnny O in studio. He's out of town today, but he will be checking in with us coming up in less than 20 minutes. Get all the latest from the senior writer from Jaguars.com, 641-1010. We got Big Meech tomorrow, Pockets. Is that right?
He texted me 1040.
1040.
Good to
1040,
go.
good buddy. Tomorrow, and Tommy Mack will be back in studio on Friday as well, talking all things Jaguars. I know he was going to delve into on his pod on should they, shouldn't they, on Brandon Ayuk. That is our question of the day today, asking you if you knew the Jags would have to give up, let's say, $28 million a year for Brandon Ayuk on average. And again, some of that money is funny money. That first-year cap hit may be way lower, but regardless, you're going to have to give him a big money deal.
Are you willing to give up the 17th pick and pay him like a 1?
And pay him like you would have had to pay Calvin Ridley, even more than you'd pay Ridley. It's attractive. You say, oh, I would have paid Ridley that. He's better than Ridley. Okay, but with Ridley, you weren't giving up the 17th pick. In fact, you weren't giving up the 48th pick. At least that was the hope, right? And the third rounder was already baked in the equation. I'd give up a third, and who wouldn't give up a third and a second for the right to sign Brandon Ayuk? I'll give you a couple extra mil if we could save that 17th pick in the draft, man. Anything I give up 48 to do it, but I give up give up that third and a second next year. Oh, come on, man. Now we talking, Tone. Now we're talking, because now we can get us a cornerback, and I don't care. Go draft Jackson Paris Johnson at that point. I don't care, man. You know what? And get us a corner in round 2. I saw this. We're going to go around the league here in a second. Imagine Jaguar fans in March of 2021 knew they were getting Trevor Lawrence, but got immediately upset when everyone talked about how good of a prospect he was, and then insisted they should trade back for a haul of picks and build around Gardner Minshew. That's what's happening on Bears Twitter. I don't think that's what's happening at all. Gardner Minshew was a 6th-round pick who was a fun story.
Yeah.
And a lot of people immediately questioned whether his level of play was sustainable. Can you build a team around him? We're going to find out maybe, because the Raiders gave him a 2-year deal worth like $15 million or up to $15 million or whatever. Yeah. And I think he's got a great chance, and likely will go in a half step ahead of Aiden O'Connell, and we'll probably hold him off, and we'll find out just how good he can be. But Justin Fields was at one point considered to be the top pick in the draft, or in conversation for it, and was a top half of the first-round guy, and he's flashed at times, and certainly his college resume indicated that, pro personnel people would think more of him.
I don't think the Bears would be all that upset if they hadn't traded and gotten the number 1 overall pick this year, and we're just picking at 9. Right? Like, if they were outside of the quarterback sweepstakes and still had Fields, I think they would have been okay if that's the direction the franchise was going to have to go this year. That's not the situation they're in. They do have the number 1 overall pick. Caleb Williams is Caleb Williams. It's going to be the direction they're going to want to go. So they got to figure out what else to do with Justin Fields at that point in time.
Right, and they have the 9th pick. On top of that, even if it was just one, you could get so much. But they're quietly putting together a pretty decent roster.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Now. They've got corners. Their line is not bad.
They've
got
7
weapons.
games.
Right.
Right.
They moved. They went from 3 to 7, and so anyway, I don't think those situations are identical. I don't think that's exactly what's going on, but so be it. Not our problem, quite frankly. And Pittsburgh, the big beneficiary here. All right, let's go around the rest of the National Football League.
Now, Gems Around the NFL, brought to you by Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jax Beach.
The Houston Texans are signing defensive end Mario Edwards Jr. to a one-year deal. Tennessee is signing defensive tackle Sebastian Joseph Day on a one-year deal. Wide receiver Mike Williams signing a one-year deal worth up to $15 million with the New York Jets. Former Jags corner Shaq Griffin has agreed to terms on a deal with the Minnesota Vikings. San Francisco signing former Jaguars and a couple other places too. Quarterback Josh Dobbs to a one-year deal. Bishop Kenny alumni quarterback John Wolford has signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Cleveland Browns are signing wide receiver Jerry Jeudy, who they traded a 5th and 6th round pick to Denver for last week, to a 3-year contract extension worth up to $58 million with $41 million in guaranteed money.
I got to see what the base value of that is, right? Because that's a hell of a lot of money for a guy who has done nothing but disappoint.
Yeah, and newly signed edge rusher Chase Young, who got his guaranteed $13 million one-year deal from the New Orleans Saints on Monday, will be having neck surgery, but is expected to be ready to go for the start of training camp.
Expected to?
Yeah.
Here's $13 million fully guaranteed.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, good luck with your neck surgery.
When it broke yesterday, I was like, what?
If Bulky had signed Chase Young to that deal, are you kidding me? This is the only kind of deal Trent Ball can get with a player who's got to have surgery lined up. It's funny to me. And by the way, I mean, his reputation just can't be that great. I mean, he's a young guy who was, the second pick in the draft?
Yes.
When he came out, he's flashed. Plenty of guys flash, right? But Chase Young, there's some bad film of him out there.
Yeah, whatever's going on.
Yeah. And by the way, I don't know if there's a worse clip than that clip of Deontay Johnson that was making the rounds. And I'm sure, if you are a Steeler fan, you probably had seen it well before this, but Deontay Johnson was on the trade block, ultimately was sent to Carolina, and there's a clip where it's a running play. Obviously, the ball's not going to Deontay. All right, so Deontay's at the top of the screen. Steelers are going from left to right in your perspective, and the ball snapped, and he just basically stands there.
Yeah,
right.
Oh, I was watching live when that play happened.
Right? The runs to the left side, and it is Najee or Jalen Warren. I can't tell who it was, but they fumble the ball right in front of Deontay Johnson. He turns his back, doesn't even react to it. Guy right there picks it up, just runs right past him, and he's just kind of like moping around, like doing whatever.
What a weird, going back to Chase Young, what a weird first 4 years of his career. He's the number 2 overall pick. Mm-hmm. He wins Defensive Rookie of the Year. He's a Pro Bowler his rookie year with 7.5 sacks. Right. He only played 9 games the next year, 3 games the year after that with 1.5 and 0 sacks. In years 2 and 3, well, last year he played in 16 and 17 games, even after being traded, but he only started 6.
He started 6, and what did he have? Like 10 tackles or something like that, and something crazy,
he had
right?
10 tackles for San Francisco
in 9 games.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not expecting him to put up massive tackle numbers, but yeah, right. I mean,
something,
right?
Yeah. A defensive end with 44 tackles, which is what he had his rookie year, that's not bad, especially when you're getting the pass rush numbers.
Right, 12 quarterback hits, all that stuff that went along with it.
And it felt like, all right, here he goes. Like, there's a reason this guy was the number 2 pick in the draft, and, man, did he hit a wall. Year 2 and 3, and the injuries just slowed him down.
I don't know. Is it injuries? Does he not
now
work
he needs
hard?
Neck surgery.
I don't know. Right. Yeah. Oh, I'm with you. I'm with you. His nickname, I've never heard a single person call him Predator.
No.
But then again,
that was a college thing. I think.
It?
Yeah.
Nobody's
called him that in the NFL, but in
and maybe they did at Ohio State. Do you remember that? Okay, I don't remember that. And then again, there are probably plenty of local nicknames that are given to players that I'm not aware of. All right, before we move on with Johnny O coming up, we had a clip we wanted to play. This is from Adam Schefter's podcast over at ESPN. He was talking about the path that Eric Armstead traveled to ultimately land as a Jacksonville Jaguar. Gibby put this in the system for us. Let's listen.
Eric Armstead at one point had what I think he thought was an agreement with the Houston Texans and flew down to Houston, only to find out when he landed that the Houston Texans were going to go sign Danielle Hunter instead. And so that deal was off. So Eric Armstead then had to go find a new home. And he did. Mm-hmm. He found a new home in Buffalo. And they had the framework of an agreement in place where he would go to Buffalo. But then someone stepped in with a better offer, and Jacksonville got a deal done. And so Eric Armstead might be the only player in free agency this year that had the frameworks of 3 different agreements with 3 different teams. First Houston, then Buffalo, then finally Jacksonville, where he goes and is reunited with the man that drafted him in San Francisco, the Jaguars general manager, Trent Baalke. And it is, to me, symbolic of the way that the week works in many ways. People say things and do other things.
Yeah, sometimes, right? Like I had heard, and I think we all had heard, that he was going to Houston via trade, right? That San Francisco was going to trade him. So maybe that meant Houston then was going to give him a new contract, right? And that's what they were meeting about. But when they met, I don't think he was a free agent at that point in time. And they were going to trade for him. Then they signed Danielle Hunter. And my feeling was they didn't have the cap space available immediately, or they didn't want to pour that many resources in the defensive line. I'm not sure. Sounds to me like while he was in Buffalo, Baalke's like, no, I'm not going to take no for an answer, and he gave him a better offer. That's what it came down to. And you say, well, you got to outspend guys. That's what you do in free agency, right? Mm-hmm. If he goes to Buffalo and Baalke was interested in him, you say he got outfoxed. So I'm happy he's here. Let's put it that way. I don't care what path he took to ultimately get here. You look at what Buffalo has at defensive tackle. Ed Oliver finally had kind of that breakout campaign last year, and Daquan Jones is a good player. It's interesting that they would be looking to spend that much on that position with 2 solid players in there. Eli Ankou, by the way, is their third defensive tackle, which is interesting considering all the salary cap purging they had to do this offseason, Tony. How important, how much they must value the potential addition of Armstead up in Buffalo to even consider a guy that was not going to be cheap at that point in time. So anyway, he's here. We got him. We're happy about that. We'll also have John Ogier. We got him, the senior writer from Jaguars.com. He's coming in straight ahead, so stick around for that. The question of the day out there, let me just give you these 2 reactions I got immediately following one another about 10 minutes ago. Tony, on the question, would you trade for Brandon Ayuk, giving up the 17th pick, knowing you're giving him a top-of-the-market contract? First one from Papi Grande, 10,000% yes. Not even sure what the downside is. Well, the downside is you're paying top 10 money for
a lot of money in a valuable
and
pick.
The pick, right? The very next one from Crisco said, not when you can get one in the first round. That could be better. We need a rookie contract at the wide receiver position. I mean, so you can't be much more on the opposite side of it there. You can cast your vote on whether or not you think it would be worth it to bring in Brandon Ayuk. Yes, he is worth it. No, that's simply too much when you combine the draft compensation and the potential contract going together. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Dandy Foods. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack time, anytime on the go. You're driving around Duval County, baby. If you swing into a gate station, you can fill up your vehicle. Take advantage of that AC or the warm air inside, whatever the case may be. But head to the Fresh Case and know that your belly is going to be happy. Big smile on your face as you see all those wonderful options from Dandy. Sometimes over 30 varieties at a single gate station. Fresh Case has got it. Breakfast items, sandwiches, subs. They got those salads, absolutely protein packs for on the go. Fruit cups, veggie trays. They got something for everybody. If you're looking to watch your waistline like I've been doing, Dandy's got your back. If you want a classic foot-long sub, Dandy will fill you up as well. All made with the highest quality ingredients, locally sourced as often as possible by a local company. Dandy's been in business in Jacksonville for over 6.5 decades. When you're hungry, do what I do. Go out and make yours a Dandy and do it today.
It's a Weight Loss Wednesday on 1010XL. Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
From the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute studios.
Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser.
Are you crazy?
Making crazy a way of life.
Yeah, out of control.
The Drill.
Now you want to get nuts?
Come on. Mornings. Let's get nuts. On 1010XL.
What are you, crazy?
Tired of running out of hot water? It's probably time for a new water heater. Call Duck Duck Rooter, the plumbing pros who specialize in water heater installation and service, including tankless water heaters, gas or electric. Call us today for service. DuckDuckRooter.com.
It's time for some Spring Fever March specials going on now at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. Mia here, and how does this sound? Just $500 down and $288 per month gets you a pre-owned 2021 Toyota Corolla. Or you choose a pre-owned 2021 Camry, RAV4, or Tacoma for just $500 down and $388 per month. Plus Arlington's Credit for Everyone program and 30-day exchange. Don't wait, save thousands and shop arlingtontoyota.com today.
For any urological concerns, let Ackerman Urology be your trusted partner in men's health. With offices from Amelia Island to World Golf Village, they treat bladder conditions, elevated PSAs, and ED. Visit AckermanUrology.com.
American Electrical is looking for bright minds and hard workers to help light up North Florida. This community continues to grow, and now you can grow your career with a company that will make sure you succeed through commitment. American Electrical even has its own academy dedicated to training select students, the electrical trade, and the best news, it's free of charge. Log on to American-Electrical.com to find out more. They're leading the way in electrical contractors on the First Coast. American-Electrical.com.
Buzzer beaters. Squeaking sneakers. Championship believers. Follow the madness and listen for live tournament updates on 1010XL. Brought to you by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic Service, and Air Conditioning.
Madness is almost here. Well, String Sports Brewery in historic Springfield is the place to go for all the tournament action. The atmosphere is unrivaled. Our show will be there live from 3 to 6 on Friday, March 22nd. So come watch hoops and shoot hoops with us. That's Friday, March 22nd from 3 to 6. Soak in all the madness at String Sports Brewery. Family, beer, sports, and madness at Strings. Come out and see us in Springfield at String Sports Brewery.
The Jacksonville Icemen continue their homestand Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday at VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena. Wednesday, the Icemen take on the Trois Rivières Lions. Get $3 beer and wine specials throughout the night. Then Friday and Saturday, it's a key South Division battle against the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. Game time for all three games is 7 o'clock. Get tickets at Ticketmaster, JacksonvilleIcemen.com, or call 904-602-PUCK. Icemen hockey is hashtag Fire Within.
Get ready for an unforgettable musical journey with the incredible Claire Vandiver at Players Grill Mandarin. Influenced by indie rock to modern pop, Claire's unique sound is a breath of fresh air. Come listen to Claire Vandiver Friday, March 29th at 8 p.m. Players Grill, where the neighborhood meets.
I'm Jeff Middlecoff with Trustline Mortgage. My business partners, Alan Tyre, Bill Pappas, and Ken Rimley, have been helping first-time homebuyers with their mortgage financing all over Florida for 34 years. First-time homebuyers can get no or low down payments, anywhere from 0 to 3.5% down. As a first-time homebuyer with Trustline Mortgage, you get added benefits for doing your loan with us, like lower rates on your mortgage insurance and lower closing costs. Oh, and did I forget to mention that Trustline gives first-time homebuyers better mortgage interest rates? Here's the bottom line. Trustline Mortgage wants to help first-time homebuyers accomplish your goal of home ownership. That's why Trustline Mortgage is offering the best first-time homebuyer benefits around, period. Trustline Mortgage delivers with no and low down payments, lower closing costs, and better interest rates. Call Trustline Mortgage today at 381-LOAN. Yes, 381-LOAN to find out how we can help you buy your dream home. Or visit our website at TrustlineMortgage.com. Trust your instincts and follow the line to Trustline Mortgage.
Certain restrictions apply. See office for details. Trustline is an equal housing opportunity. MLS number 331480.
Everyone seems to be in a time crunch these days. Well, don't forget you can always count on the cold case at Daly's. Always convenient, always cold. Whether it's the king of beers, Natty Light, Stella, or Cigar City, the Goose Island or Bud Light Seltzer. Dash into Daly's and grab one to go.
Stop paying for exterior paint that does not protect your home or business. Pick it here from my friends at Rhino Shield. Their beautifully durable coatings never chip, crack, or peel, and they back that up with a 25-year warranty. None of that water intrusion damage from these crazy storms we get in Northeast Florida, all while saving you thousands compared to the cost of repainting. And gang, check this out. Right now, 0% financing and up to 20% off new jobs purchased now until Sunday. Go to RhinoShieldJax.com. Get your free estimate, RhinoShieldJax.com.
Ready to join the team?
The Jaguars and our stadium partners are hosting a job fair Wednesday, April 3rd to find enthusiastic new faces to serve as ushers, ticket takers, concessionaires, security, and more for the upcoming season. Stop by the Fields Auto Group Terrace Suite at Everbank Stadium from 3 till 8 p.m. on April 3rd to apply. Professional dress, a pen, and a smile are all you need, so stop by the job fair to be a part of Jaguars Game Day.
Equal Opportunity Employer. Frank Frangie here. I was born and raised in Jacksonville, and I love living here. But I also know how bad bugs are in Florida. So I trust Orange Environmental Services to handle all my pest control needs because they've got the best technicians and effective treatment. Their name may be orange, but they think green. Orange Environmental has been serving the First Coast for over 50 years, and they now offer complete lawn maintenance services. Call Orange Environmental Services for peace of mind from bug problems today. Call them at 272-3284. That's 272-3284.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line. Oh No's with Jaguars.com's John Osher. Brought to you by
Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
On 1010XL.
All right, Johnny O here with us from afar from Jaguars.com, their senior writer. Good morning, John. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. Actually calling in from Nashville, having a better time than I did in January, guys. Much better time.
Yeah, that wasn't. Can we forget about that trip in its entirety? Just a little vacation for you, or are you doing any work?
Yeah, just a couple of days with my son and his fiancée-to-be and the wife. We've never really done Nashville together. Wanted to do it, and Sherry, my wife, may be the only woman our age in Jacksonville who's never been to Nashville before. so it's a first for her. So good time. It was what you think it was. So I'm a little slow this morning, but I'm with you.
All right. So when you say you're doing Nashville, and you're a little slow, so that means you're out honky tonking last night. I mean, like, what is the
long workout?
Is that what it was? All right. And like, what does doing Nashville consist of for the Ozier clan? Do you go to a concert, or what do you do?
No, I just started doing the Broadway thing. I mean, I've done it a lot. I mean, this is probably, I was thinking as I was coming in, I've probably been to Nashville more than any other road city because I did it with the Jags back in the day, the Colts for 10 years. This one, Indy, of course, I lived in, but so Nashville, probably 20, 25 trips. So Broadway, I'll admit, is a little. I've seen it, and once you've seen one Broadway bar, you've sort of seen them all. But it never fails. I mean, you see things that you don't see that often at midnight on Broadway. So it was enjoyable.
All right. Well, we're glad and hope you continue to enjoy your time. Thanks for taking a few minutes for us today. John, let's talk about a few things here, including the Jags' potential pursuit of a guy like Brandon Ayuk. Emil O'Brien has reported that there was interest on the Jags side, but that the asking price is a 17 pick in round one. I don't, and that kind of scared the Jags off. I don't suspect that any team is looking to give up a mid-first round pick and the contract that would go along with it, right? I mean, but let's say it was a swap of firsts or even the 48th pick in the draft. Do you think the Jags, do you get the sense that Trent Baalke is trying to push as many chips to the center of the table this year as possible? He's done a really good job, I think, managing the salary cap to this point. Do you think the Jags would be a player at a lesser price?
Well, yeah, I mean, if there was interest, the rumors were enough last week, and the fact that they went after Calvin so hard, didn't get him. It certainly sounds like they is sort of the if-then scenario there. Like if they get a guy, then he's probably gone. If they don't, he's still Zay. Sorry about that, guys. He's still Zay Jones and can still do it. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure Trent is making calls on players that potentially could be available and finding the right price. As you guys alluded to, a first and a contract, boy, GMs have trouble giving up that much double equity, right? So that would be tough to swallow. But I guess the only way I can look this off season is to sort of expect the unexpected. Because I didn't expect this much free agency play.
Right.
I wasn't sure that they would do the cap that far out into the future, but they have. So it does feel all into me. I'm not philosophically. That's not sort of how I look at things, but they're going after it.
With what they've done so far in free agency, John, how improved do you expect the offense to be coming up in 2024?
Well, I mean, it's all, and not trying to avoid the question. To me, it's all about Mitch Morse. If he solidifies basically 2.5 spots instead of just one, like if his presence makes Sheriff better, Ezra Cleveland, I think fans have to sort of give him a break. He was only there 4 or 5 games starting hurt. If they've solidified that, I think they'll be a lot better. I think they were, big, effective runs in big situations away from being pretty good last year, meaning every time they'd get to 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2 in the red zone, stalled out. And how many times did that hurt him? And how much better would you feel about the offense, even if the stats were the same, if they had converted 7 or 8 of those in key situations, win games? So he's the key. I think he makes them better because they went backwards a lot last year in those situations. So are they, quote, better at receiver? I don't know, but I think you can make the argument that they can be as good at receiver as they were in 2022. And when they were running more effectively, that group was okay. So, yeah, I think they can be better.
John, I think if you take a receiver at 17, you could see if that's, let's say it's Brian Thomas out of LSU, right? You could see him projecting as ultimately your number one, but certainly a starter right out of the gates, right? If you take cornerback there, if he's the right guy, you could see him walking into a starting role, winning a starting role right out of the gates. If you take an offensive lineman there, that may not be the case. Maybe he's 1 year, the old Vic Ketchman jar on the shelf as Cam Robinson plays one more year here in Jacksonville. If you go center, you're not going to start probably over Mitch Morse right away. Do you think they are unlikely to go with a developmental position, for lack of a better term? I'm not explaining that exactly right, but you know what I mean. A guy that may not have a starting role immediately in 2024. Are they willing to take that kind of player with the 17th pick?
Well, it doesn't feel like it, and I would have to put percentages on it because I don't think even going into the draft for them, I doubt they'll be sitting there saying, okay, corner and receiver and everything else is off the table. If the right offensive lineman fell, I think they probably feel like they can line up, and offensive line is really important, as you guys have pointed out. Walker Little and Cam Robinson entering last year their contract. Sheriff and Mitch Morse, they're both 30 years old. So if you don't address it early this year, you're going to be, I don't know, maybe not scrambling is the right word, but you're going to have to go pretty quick in the next couple of years to get that core back. So is it a need now? No. Is it a need over a 3-year period? I think it's a huge need over a 3-year period because of the age. I would have trouble right now predicting them not going wide receiver or corner. I've been saying for a while, I don't think it's receiver because I feel like they think they can line up. I'm just looking at the depth chart and what they've got. You need 3 corners in the NFL these days. To me, they've got 2 that you feel, hey, these guys can really go out and be big-time players.
So while Cam Robinson is here now, and we know the cap hit is significant and the savings that it potentially represents, they've gone through free agency when guys are mostly available at this point. Not that you can't use that cap space to maybe get a deal done with somebody else, be it Tyson Campbell or Trevor Lawrence or Josh Allen or whatever, however you want to structure it. But at this point, John, how surprised would you be if they did, let's say the right offensive lineman is there? Do you think that Cam Robinson is still a lock to be on this roster, or is there a scenario where they go, hey, you know what, we're going to try to trade him now during the draft, recoup a pick, but we're going in this direction on the offensive line?
Yeah, I think on paper it's definitely possible. The X factor is they really like what Cam brings and all that. If it wasn't for and that matters a great deal. This is football, right? But if it was just on paper, I think that would be a very logical move. Either, to not release Cam, but as you say, if you can get something for him, get that off the books, that's definitely a plug-and-play offensive line. We take care of short-term. We have that off the books, and we can free up some of this, mentally I call it Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence money. Whatever they're doing in that long-term, you can put it toward that. So I would say that's probably the third scenario behind maybe corner, and again, I keep waffling on wide receiver, maybe wide receiver. But I think that definitely makes a lot of sense. I always like to say there are certain guys that you don't want to be standing in the parking lot waving goodbye to. You can talk about it on paper, then all of a sudden you're playing without him. And Cam's one of those guys. It's like, okay, on paper, we can get by without him. And then you see him leaving, and you're like, oh, man, that's going to stink. He's not here. So I think it's going to be hard to get rid of Cam from that regard. It's what he brings.
John, since we heard from Eric Armstead a couple days ago, Mike and I here on the show have at least talked around what the expectations could be, should be for Devon Hamilton in 2024 and 2025, where it doesn't appear they're going to have anybody get out from underneath that contract. Have you heard anything about where he's at and what is fair to expect out of Devon Hamilton with the way 2023 went?
Well, I haven't heard. In talking to Devon late last year, I never got any sense that there was worry on his part about not coming back to 100%. It felt last year, obviously, he never got back to what he was in 22. Was it the back? Was it the rust? Was it not, all that stuff combined? Tentativeness, lack of confidence? I don't know, but he was not dominant, and there were times in 22 he was dominant. I think a year removed from that, is it fair to a guy who went through whatever he went through last year? Maybe not. Is it fair from NFL expectations? I think he's going to be disruptive. He was in the backfield a lot in 2022 late in the season. That's hard for a defensive tackle. I think it's fair to think that Armstead brings that, can free him up a little bit. There are people who sort of like Devon, not so much as a nose, but as a penetrating player. If you can free him up in that, they're a lot better. But, yes, that's the expectation. I don't know. I don't have a great feel 100% detail-wise physically how ready he's going to be able to do that.
Yeah, none of us do, right? So one of the mysteries. Yeah. And they have a better sense than we do, clearly. But they've got a lot of money tied up in that position, between Armstead, Hamilton, and Roy Robertson-Harris. And they've got some of their depth pieces back as well. So, that
was a huge thing last year, too, right? You have all that big-time free agency money, and then you also have it in Aluakon, so you expect the interior to be stout. It was for 3 months, and then at the end, it just wasn't at all. And in their planning, you expect to be a good run defense when you spent that much on those areas.
So, John, are you mailbagging it on vacation, or what are you doing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. Still doing it. Oh, yeah. That never stops. It's like the post office. There'll be an ozone tomorrow. Dude, sorry, guys. There'll be I shouldn't hit snooze on that alarm. There'll be mailbags. And then on Thursday, I'll be back in Jacksonville getting it done.
Wait, did you just get up?
No, that was just the alarm. I had it set originally for 5 minutes before you guys called, but I surprised myself, got up and ran.
Okay.
So I just didn't have the alarm set up. That was the snooze for the original alarm set, which was 5 minutes before you guys were going to call.
All right. Well, we didn't hear it.
A little insight into my mess of a life.
Right. I would be most proud of you if you were telling us that you were going to take a nap as soon as you hung up. That would be the most impressive thing. That's the way to vacation.
Were I traveling alone, or was it just my son and I? We probably would, but we have the significant others with us, so they'll probably shame us into something like a first watch breakfast.
Then again, if you're traveling alone, I don't know if you're going to Nashville to hit Broadway, but who knows?
That's fair. That's fair.
I don't know.
Fair.
Johnny, enjoy the rest of your time off. Keep those mailbags coming. We'll read up on everything through your eyes at Jaguars.com, and we'll see you next week in studio.
Fantastic. Thanks for being flexible, guys. We'll see you.
All right, buddy. There he goes, John Ozier. By the way, speaking of Cam Robinson, there, Tony, and why, that yeah, we can move on. Yeah, we can say this. Oh, he is maybe. Oh, we're not going to have Cam. You know what I mean? Like, there is that. But this from Daniel Griffiths, who works with Jaguar Report, and this popped up in my timeline. Now, I don't know who ranked these numbers, where these numbers come from, right? But it says Cam Robinson was among the NFL's best last year in pass protection. The Jags left tackle had a pass block efficiency of 97.4, which ranked 14th out of 90 qualifying tackles. 64 starting tackles, but I guess 90 played enough of snaps to qualify for this, and he is 14th, which would be like about middle of the pack among the top group of starters, right? Which, I mean, your top 15 in pass efficiency, that's not bad. There's no guarantee you're going to draft a guy who's going to be any better than that with that pick, but at a certain point, you got to reset the financial clock as well.
Yeah.
You know?
It was funny. I was watching NFL Live yesterday afternoon, and they had a Jaguars direct question where they showed the pass and run block win rates for the offensive line last year. And, you know, they were 29th and 31st, I think, in each category. So they were really bad in those categories last year. And then they asked one of the hosts, they were like, do you think the Jaguars, the moves they've made, has gotten them better? And the entire conversation was, well, they replaced Calvin Ridley with Gabe Davis. What does that have to do with their pass and run block win rates?
I'm guessing nobody on the panel knew what they have done or
like,
not
I was
done
just
on
like,
the offensive
what
line.
is happening? Like,
and it's not like they just spring that on you.
No.
There's a rundown. You know what you're going to get asked
talk
about.
about Calvin Ridley again. Okay. I
guess.
suppose that was the plan. Okay.
I guess. And, you know, or I love, and I've seen a little of this. Not, you know, some people are actually savvy and nuanced, but I don't know what they're doing thinking they're going to replace Calvin Ridley with Gabe Davis. Well, they weren't thinking they're going to replace Calvin Ridley with Gabe Davis. And then Gabe Davis told you that himself, that their plan was to have them both all along. And so clearly they need a guy, or they feel like they need a guy at the top of that depth chart.
They didn't pull it off this past weekend, but they at least seem to have been interested in whatever the availability was for Brandon Ayuk.
Right.
And who knows what they're going to do in the draft to address any of these things or over the next few weeks. It's not that they're not paying attention to how they could address the top of their wide receiver depth chart.
Honestly, if you came away with a corner that you loved and Brandon Ayuk and nothing else, corner at 17 and Brandon Ayuk, is that enough for you?
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, because honestly, like, I love the idea of extra picks. I love when they draft 7 or 8 guys, and I try to project, like, oh, this guy's going to turn into a useful piece here. You know what? Usually they don't, right? On every team, usually there's a big miss rate. You get outside the first round. If I can get that 48th, I'll give you the 48th. I'll give you a 5th rounder. I'll give you another 5th next year. Take Brandon Ayuk. And then whatever I get with those other picks is gravy. I'll take a corner at 17. I'll take Brandon Ayuk. And are we perfect? Are there not some flaws? Look, I'll draft some offensive line depth or pass rush depth or get what I can with those other selections, but you're not going to do better than that.
No.
I mean, if you don't get Brandon Ayuk, then you're looking at maybe you take a receiver at 48 or you take him at 17. You get a corner. You get a guy who's probably maybe turns out to be better than Brandon Ayuk in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe, right? But now you're getting a guy, and granted, it's the money as well. It's just that with 17, I'm pretty confident they can get a corner who can walk in here and upgrade that room.
I would think so.
Big time.
They're likely going to be taking the second, maybe third corner.
You give me Ronald Darby as my 3rd corner. Yeah. Okay, now we're starting to talk about a pretty decent group potentially back there. All right, let's take our final time out here. When we return, we'll look at the Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day. Ayuk for the 17th pick. Yay or nay, knowing the contract that's got to follow. We'll discuss and debate on the other side. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Helping you over the hump. Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Weight Loss Wednesday continues from the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute studios on 1010XL. Take Jacksonville with you.
There's no place like home.
Listen to 1010XL away from home.
Oh, but anyway, Toto, we're home. Home.
Download the 1010XL and XL 92.5 FM apps for free on Apple and Android devices.
Lauren Brooks here from Mayport CNC Fisheries. Growing up at the beach, I know good shrimp and oysters when I see them. They're local and they're fresh. That's why Mayport CNC Fisheries is my go-to for both. They have local shrimp in stock 7 days a week. Eat like a local at Mayport CNC Fisheries.
Navy Mutual would like to salute all Medal of Honor recipients that have been given our nation's highest award. In 1990, Congress designated March 25th as National Medal of Honor Day, and it was signed into law by President George H.W. Bush.
Committed to the mission. At Navy Mutual, we're committed to providing high-quality life insurance to members of the military and their families. Because at Navy Mutual, our highest commitment is to you. Visit NavyMutual.org.
What makes a Honda certified pre-owned vehicle so special? 182-point inspection, 24/7 roadside assistance, first-year free oil changes, and a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty for carefree driving backed by American Honda. Visit your local Honda dealer today.
You know, Mr. Chubby's Wings is giving away free beer again this year for the Madness Tournament.
Do they really give you a free pint of Miller Lite for each game you pick right?
Yes. All you got to do is fill out your bracket at 1010XL.com. The overall winner gets tickets to the Luke Combs concert and wings at the show. But for free beer, just download your bracket, print it out, and bring it to any Mr. Chubby's Wings location during the games. Every game you pick right, you get a free beer.
Go to 1010XL.com now. It's the free beer Mr. Chubby's Madness Bracket Challenge. See Mr. Chubby's Wings Facebook for full contest details. MyBookie and Mr. Chubby's deliver the madness. Fill out your bracket at 1010XL.com. For each game you win while you're watching at Mr. Chubby's, you'll win a free beer. Overall winner scores Luke Combs tickets and a Mr. Chubby's wing dinner.
Joe C. for CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living. They can transform your backyard with fire pits, pergolas, screen enclosures, and outdoor kitchens. And CSS handles the entire project from start to finish. You dream it, they build it. CSSOutdoor.com.
Bueller Air Conditioning presents Are You Cool?
Today's lucky contestant, a cheese negotiator from Jacksonville, Florida. Meet Margaret Drent.
How do you like my costume, Bob? I'm Gruyere.
Well, you smell great, Margaret. But here's your question. What's wrong with your air conditioner when you hear this sound?
Oh, that's a toughie. Are you sure you don't want me to tell you the suggested retail price of a box of Rice-A-Roni?
5 seconds, Margaret.
Is it a compressor motor starter failure?
That's right, Margaret. And if you call the coolness experts at Bueller Air Conditioning, we can fix that faulty AC to make sure that you are cool.
It's surprisingly stuffy inside a giant cheese.
You signed the waiver, Margaret.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
This is Hayes Carline for SkyLife Elite. Are you tired of canceled flights, unruly passengers, and layovers? Call my friends at SkyLife Elite. Consider using private charter flights for your next adventure. Yes, you can afford it. Make your own schedule. Fly direct. Drive your car to Craig Airport and get directly on the plane. SkyLife Elite can make that happen. Call 490-9332, go to flyskylife.com, and find them on social media. Fly SkyLife Elite, North Florida's premier private air charter.
When is the best time to buy a Yamaha Wave Runner? Right now. Make a splash this summer on a new Wave Runner from Ride Now Power Sports. No matter how you like to ride, Ride Now Power Sports has the model to fit your style. And for a limited time, receive a 5-year extended warranty on select new Yamaha Wave Runner purchases. Maximum fun, now with maximum protection. Only at Ride Now Power Sports in Jacksonville, 6407 Landing Boulevard, or online at ridenowjacksonville.com.
Mike Dempsey here. Look, I'm happy to see so many others make the same 180 with their weight and start Awaken 180. Hacker, he's now down 30 pounds in only 3 weeks. Amazing results, lifetime results. With the solution for weight loss, Awaken 180 weight loss.
Have you tried golfing at the improved Cimarron Golf Club? If you haven't, tell you what, you're missing out on the best deal in Jacksonville. Now, many of you have received a postcard in the mail, and of course, if you bring that with you, $45 plus tax to play. That includes a cart, lunch, and a beer at the brand new Stone Barrel Tap House. Now, go to the website, that is CimarronGolfClub.com, and sign up for the Wild One Loyalty Program. That's the Wild One Loyalty Program, and get all of these specials emailed to you from Cimarron.
Hello, this is Father Nicholas Lowe, and I want to talk to you about not looking at the rearview mirror of unforgiveness. It's so easy to keep looking in the past when someone has hurt or offended us. What we don't realize is that if we keep looking at the rearview mirror of anger, it will cause us to miss out on the good things that God has in store right in front of us. Friends, looking in the rearview mirror of the past will never give you peace in the present.
For more inspiration, log on to stjohnthedivine.com.
This is Hayes Carline for First Florida Credit Union. I bank with First Florida Credit Union because I trust them. I can always count on them when it comes to the vast services they provide. First Florida Credit Union was voted Best Bank in the 2023 Best of Bold City Community Choice Awards, and it's easy to see why. I go to the branch off 210 in St. Johns County and the new Durbin location, but they have 10 branches in the Jacksonville area. You need to be banking with First Florida Credit Union. They're enriching people every day. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity Lender.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Ooh, we down to it, Tony. Last 5 minutes of the program. Today, XL Primetime coming your way. Big Meech, Demetrius Harvey of the Florida Times-Union stops by tomorrow to talk all things Jaguar football related. Pockets, have you done a bracket for the tournament?
I did one Monday.
Okay, Tony, have you done a bracket?
Nope.
I think it's kind of obligatory.
Yeah.
Let's all do one by noon tomorrow.
I mean, I will, but
well, I'm just saying. Let's make sure we have one done for the show tomorrow, and we'll throw out our picks. Hey, it's just kind of the ritual of being an American sports fan, right? I mean, you got to have a bracket.
I've almost won the competition here in house at the station the last couple of years. 2 years ago, it came down to who won the final. Was going to determine whether or not I won or lost the bracket. Last year, it was Final Four before I was eliminated in the competition. I've been close the last couple of years, despite my 30 seconds of watching college basketball before I fill out the bracket.
About 20 years ago, I picked the Final Four completely correct, and I'm like, I'm good at this. I'm really good at picking basketball.
Start giving your checks.
Especially pockets when I don't watch any throughout the season. And then I all of a sudden I go, oh, I remember when Villanova was good. They'll probably win this game. So I don't know. I hear UConn's good again. So I
they seem to be the popular pick. Yes.
Yeah. All right. So let's look at today's question today and give it a little 10-10 take.
10-10 take. Now, Mike Dempsey's 10-10 take. Brought to you by Leonard Truck Accessories.
I'm a no on this, but and maybe, you look at it. Some people have made the suggestion, look, if you're going to go this route, why don't you go crazy and make an offer for Justin Jefferson? I give up the 17th pick for Justin Jefferson. I don't feel Ayuk's the same guy as Justin Jefferson. I think he's really good. Paying him as a top 10 guy might be a bit of an overpay, but not tremendously, because he does things like you're paying Jefferson to get 180 targets, catch 115 passes for 1,700 yards and score 1 million touchdowns and all these things when he's healthy.
Yeah.
You're paying Ayuk to be a 1,300-yard receiver, maybe score 10 touchdowns, and a lot of that, but you're also paying him for the physicality that he brings. He is a great run-blocking wide receiver. But regardless, I would pay the 17th pick for a Jamar Chase or a Justin Jefferson. I'd pay more for that guy. So I get you could look at it from that standpoint, like, would I give this year's first and next year's first for Justin Jefferson and a $30 million a year contract? I would. Yeah. I don't think that would even get it done. So why wouldn't I be willing to spend the 17th pick on Brandon Ayuk?
Yeah.
Is he half the player Justin Jefferson is? From that standpoint, that's probably the best argument, but I still am coming down on the side of give me a shot at Brian Thomas or one of these other receivers, even if it's at the 48th pick in the draft, and be able to pay them pennies on the dollar.
I think we talked about it a lot with Josh Allen and where I thought things would land with the whole thing, right? Waiting to see what's going to happen with Hunter and Burns, right? Needed to see what that was going to happen with the new money. What does that look like? Well, this offseason has given you no idea what that looks like at wide receiver. None.
No.
Right, with Michael Pittman Jr. and Calvin Ridley being the two top-of-the-market guys, right, that got new deals in this offseason. You go look at, what wide receivers are getting paid and when they sign their contracts. Tyreek Hill, 2022. Devontae Adams, 2022. Cooper Kupp, 2022. A.J. Brown, 22. Diggs, 22. Metcalf, 22. Samuel, 22. None of that's new money, right? So trying to figure out exactly what Ayuk looks like compared to what should the next number be for these guys is why I'm comfortable even with the Ayuk deal. If it means I got to pay him $27 million, fine. Because I think by the time all those guys and that next wave of guys get all their money, Ayuk's going to be right around 5, 6, 7 among those guys, and I'm comfortable making him a top 10 paid wide receiver in the league and giving up the 17th pick. But as we've said since we brought it up yesterday on the show, I understand the arguments against it. That would be my argument for it, is I'm more comfortable with it than it appears the team is with that kind of thing, but I can understand why you wouldn't be.
60-40 against right now. And there's some vehement, like, absolutely or absolutely not, like, on both sides. How you have to be crazy to even consider the other side. This is not one that I feel that way at all about. Like, I get your point, too. Like, I'm trying to argue myself into it, thinking I do it for Chase, I do it for Jefferson, I do it for the right guy, but there are...
And those guys are going to get north of Tyreek. When those deals get done, they're going to get well north of 30.
But I think they are. I think there's a clear, tier of elite receivers. I think Tyreek Hill's in there, but because of the age and his flirtation with retirement talk, that I wouldn't be making that kind of move for him at this stage. But I don't think Ayuk's in that tier. That's me.
I'd have to go back and look when Buffalo got Stephon Diggs, and they gave him that contract. Where was it? Right, among wide receivers. I'd have to go back and look at the history of that, where exactly that put him at that point in time, because that's more the Ayuk comparison for me.
All right, almost 600 votes on this. Just over 60% say no, it's too much. Yes, it'd be worth the first rounder and the contract for Brandon Ayuk. If you haven't voted yet, please do so. At MD_1010XL on X. Let's say hello to XL Primetime. Mia, you said, you mentioned in your tweet a couple days ago now, I think it was, that the asking price for Brandon Ayuk is the 17th pick in the draft. What do you think the price would be that the Jags would say, okay, I'll do that and the contract on top of it that has to follow? Would it be a swap of first rounders? Would it be the 48th pick in the draft? Would it be something else?
I haven't pitched that to anyone. I would think the second round pick, perhaps maybe that opens some things up. We obviously know, and trust me, I was just as surprised as you guys when I heard that Zay Jones was included in a possible trade.
See, that doesn't surprise me. Does that surprise you?
It was more so just like he's in an expiring contract year, which I understand Ayuk's in a contract year.
It surprised me that San Fran would want him.
Yeah.
But maybe not, because they'd be
they
looking
want a
at,
veteran wide receiver.
Right, we're going to plug that hole. It's not.
Right.
And from the Jags' perspective, we didn't even include that in our question today, because the feeling was if they signed Ridley, Zay would probably be a cap casualty. And even if he wasn't included in the trade package.
Which was widely known.
Right. So if Ayuk were to get traded here, Zay would be a cap casualty. So if you're going to go ahead and include him, the fact that they put a value on him coming back, and I get it, you still give me the piece rather than making us go out there. I don't think that moves the needle a whole lot.
I think the reason that the Jaguars balked at it, and by the way, for clarification, was not a pick swap. It would have been pick 17.
Correct.
San Francisco retains pick 31.
Correct.
And so that's where I think the Jaguars balked, because they recognize they have more needs than just a wide receiver, which certainly bringing in a top 10 wide receiver could elevate all boats. But at the same time, you really haven't addressed your defensive front outside of Eric Armstead in free agency. And certainly you signed Travis Gibson, who's good depth on the edge, but you still have some pieces you could probably add there with that 17th overall pick, depending how the board falls, and that's not including, of course, the corner conversation. Now, I think
just the wide receiver conversation. If you go because you're paying whoever you get there, you're paying them less for the entirety of that rookie deal than Ayuk's going to want for one season.
Yes.
So and you can say that the cap is fake, and there are ways to maneuver it, but there's there's an end point to it.
Right.
It doesn't, you can't just do this and push money forever. Eventually the bill comes due. So if you're paying Ayuk this and I'll pay him this, you better be, like you say, where are you going to find the cheap labor from? you know?
And by the way, look, again, I was just as surprised as all y'all when I was informed of more details regarding, first off, when I first got the call about the smoke that the Jaguars had expressed interest in Ayuk's camp, not the 49ers, Ayuk's camp had expressed interest. I was just as surprised as everyone. I was equally as surprised when I was told what the compensation potentially floated was. But now this news yesterday, number one, of the Steelers' interest, and number two, the fact that Brandon Ayuk himself is out here tweeting at Mike Tomlin. Anyone who still thinks that this is a media fabrication, he and his agency are trying to, yes, get money, whether that's from San Francisco or somewhere else.
Paid.
You cannot dismiss it anymore.
It's real.
It's very real.
Yeah.
And trust me, again, 8 days ago, I was just like the rest of y'all. I had no idea that this would be something that I'd have San Francisco Niner fans and media members angrily tweeting at me about, but it's reality.
Would you trade the 17th pick for Brandon Ayuk?
I would not. I would trade the 48th pick.
I don't know anybody who wouldn't.
I think he's a first round. I think he's a first round talent. Now, I don't think the Jaguars are in a position to give up that 17th overall pick. I think they're not going to address wide receiver with it unless, in a crazy world, Rome Odunze or Malik Neighbors was to fall to you there. I believe if the Jaguars were to be active in this Brandon Ayuk market, I don't want to say it, but I'm going to, maybe a similar elevator situation to the Calvin Ridley trade with the Atlanta Falcons, where you give up the second this year, maybe a third if you don't sign him, or a fourth if you don't sign him the following year, or next year's third or second, something like that. If you could get creative with it and part with 2 day 2 picks, maybe
that's
that equals
a lot,
a one.
though, for a rental. To me, for a
but
potential
if you sign
rental.
him, right?
Well,
if
you sign him,
right?
Right, he's got to
very
cooperate
curious,
on that as well.
Yeah, big picture, I'm very curious if Trent Baalke's ever going to engage in something quite like that again. Like, what?
I don't fault him for doing it.
I don't either.
I didn't fault him then. I'm not going to fault him in the aftermath. You know, I'm not going to pull. You know, I think it was worth the roll of the dice.
Yeah, right, and that's what I would. You know, we always say on primetime that we're going to get shirts that say "Live life with no regrets" because that's what Trent Baalke says. But I am genuinely curious what his thought now in hindsight was of that deal. I think it was still a deal you had to make.
It was a fourth and a fifth with escalators.
Yes.
We were talking about maybe a second and a third with escalators. And that's now you're talking about, Tony, the core of your team.
And I think
you're building.
Ayuk is a high enough quality player that you make the deal because you've already talked to his side and said, this is what the offer is going to be. Is this good? Like, I think that's when you make the offer. This is what we're willing to give San Francisco. This is what we're willing to give you. Deal's done, right? The moment he walks in here, they're not waiting to see next offseason what's going to happen with Ayuk. He's signing it the day he gets traded here. If he gets traded here would be the way that's more how the NFL has traditionally worked.
That is how I would want to do it. Yeah. All right, Mia, what do you guys have coming up?
Oh, we got Matthew Driscoll joining us, 1240. Let's go, folks. We will do tons of bracket talk. Yes, Virginia basketball equals Iowa football. If you didn't watch that game, thank yourself that you didn't have to sit through it last night in the first four. We also are going to talk some numbers and cents when it comes to the latest deals, television deals with the SEC, the Big Ten, the ACC. Maybe we're starting to put the puzzle pieces together about how and why Clemson and Florida State and some other ACC schools may be able to get out of that grant of rights deal.
All right, we'll be listening. Thanks,
Thank
Mia.
you.
Next 3 hours, XL Prime Time. That'll do it for us today. Thanks to John Ozier for stopping by. Demetrius Harvey will do the same tomorrow from the Florida Times Union. For Tony Smith and Dylan Denmark, I'm Mike Dempsey. Have a great afternoon, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow from 10 to noon with more Jaguars Today here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
It's another Weight Loss Wednesday. Awaken 180 Weight Loss.